So friends, at a time when Donald Trump and Pam Bondi are trying to bury all things Jeffrey Epstein-related, they just fired a superb career federal prosecutor who handled the Jeffrey Epstein case as well as the case of Epstein's co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, a prosecutor who likely has as much information about Epstein and his client list, among other matters, as pretty much anybody at the Department of Justice. Does that sound like a smart move to you? Firing that superb career federal prosecutor while trying to bury all things Epstein-related? Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, it's no secret that Donald Trump and Pam Bondi have been trying to fire their way through all of the ethical attorneys at the Department of Justice. Why? Well, because they want exclusively lawyers who are toadies and lapdogs, flunkies, and sycophants to go into court and argue that Donald Trump's lawlessness is lawful. Go into court and argue that Donald Trump's unconstitutional conduct is constitutional. But friends, I have to say that at a time when they're trying to bury all things related to Jeffrey Epstein, the Jeffrey Epstein files, the Jeffrey Epstein client list that Pam Bondi assured us was on her desk for review and now assures us never existed. Okay, Pam. At a time when that is the goal of Donald Trump and Pam Bondi, firing the superb career federal prosecutor who handled the Epstein and Maxwell cases doesn't sound like the smartest tactical move. Let's start with the new reporting. This from the New York Times. Headline: Prosecutor fired by Trump calls fear the tool of the tyrant. Maurene Comey, who helped prosecute Jeffrey Epstein and Sean Combs, was dismissed without a detailed explanation. She is the daughter of James B. Comey, a longtime adversary of President Trump. And now, friends, let's shift over to NBC News, which published the brief letter authored by Maurene Comey after she was fired. Fired federal prosecutor Maurene Comey sent an email Thursday morning to her former colleagues at the Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office, warning that it's becoming harder for them to do their jobs without fear. In the email, Comey, daughter of former FBI Director James Comey, a frequent target of President Donald Trump, said the Trump Justice Department fired her with no explanation a day earlier. She has prosecuted some of the city's highest-profile cases, including the one involving Jeffrey Epstein and his associate Ghislaine Maxwell, as well as Sean Diddy Combs. And here's the full text of Maurene Comey's email. Yesterday was unexpectedly my last day in the office. I was summarily fired via memo from Maine Justice that did not give a reason for my termination. Every person lucky enough to work in this office constantly hears 4 words to describe our ethos: without fear or favor. Do the right thing, the right way, for the right reasons, without fear of retribution and without favor to the powerful. For the majority of my nearly 10 years in SDNY, the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney's Office, fear was never really conceivable. We don't fear bad press. We have the luxury of exceptional security, keeping us physically safe. And so long as we did our work with integrity, we would get to keep serving the public in this office. Our focus was really on acting without favor. That is, making sure people with access, money, and power were not treated differently than anyone else, and making sure this office remained separate from politics and focused only on the facts and the law. But we have entered a new phase where without fear may be the challenge. If a prosecutor can be fired without reason, fear may seep into the decisions of those who remain. Do not let that happen. Fear is the tool of a tyrant, wielded to suppress independent thought. Instead of fear, let this moment fuel the fire that already burns at the heart of this place, a fire of righteous indignation at abuses of power, of commitment to seek justice for victims, of dedication to truth above all else. It has been an honor to fight for those principles by your side, Maurene. So friends, think about it. A superb, universally highly regarded career federal prosecutor who is selected year after year after year to handle some of the highest profile, most sensitive cases the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney's Office has to offer. Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Sean Combs. Somebody like that is just fired without cause, wrongfully terminated. And of course, we can only speculate as to why. Could it be that Donald Trump is looking for a fall guy or a fall gal? Well, with Donald Trump so consumed by fear at the moment that Epstein information will begin to become public, so consumed by fear that he turns on his own MAGA supporters, calling them, quote, weaklings. And he turns on congressional Republicans who are calling for more transparency, calling for the release of the Epstein files and the Epstein client list. He calls those Republicans foolish and stupid. So yes, Donald Trump is worried and Donald Trump is floundering. But blaming Maurene Comey? You know, friends, it's hard to see how anybody could be gullible enough to believe that somehow the highly regarded career federal prosecutor who was entrusted with the prosecutions of Epstein and Maxwell and Combs, somehow she's at fault, somehow she's behind some sort of wrongdoing, somehow she perpetrated a hoax or a witch hunt? Come on. Now, it does look like this story may have legs, right? When even some of Donald Trump's longtime supporters and, you know, the hard right social media influencers and Republican members of Congress, including MAGA Mike Johnson, are bucking Trump, are calling for more transparency, are calling for the release of the Epstein files. I mean, could it be that at long last, some of Donald Trump's bullshit is catching up with him? I sure hope so, because talk about it being long overdue. Let's hope that some of this will finally come home to roost, because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe. Please stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.